and check for it being honey bound and rearrange it.
Okay.
So that's what your expertise is all about, right?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay,
Okay,
so I know
it's-
I've covered this before,
Okay.
and I like to use this burlap sack that I left out in the weather for a while to get it started. It's kind of like kindling. And then I'm going to put some that's pretty much brand new on top of that, and we'll get some smoke action going. Smoke's to calm the bees down. Okay. So I've read that you should smoke them and then leave it for a little bit before you do anything. Is that correct?
They're too much. 3 puffs is plenty.
3 puffs is plenty. That's it.
And then what I do is I crack the lid and give it a shot on the top, and then yeah, leave it for a little bit. In the back of this screened bottom board that you have, that style, there is actually a hole. And, and if between that and the plastic Lexan insert, you can smoke in there.
Yeah,
and then
there's a little plate that you swivel out of the way.
You don't have to do that. You've already smoked the front, so.
It actually fits the little nozzle perfectly.
Yeah, it does.
Just a little shot in there. And then crack the lid.
There you go. Beautiful, beautiful.
Just move the lid out of the way. And I'm going to go ahead and put my gloves on, just so I don't have to flinch. You know, I think I need to replace this inner cover. Got a little bit of moisture to it.
It's a little warped.
Yeah, it's a little warped. It's nothing.
You know, there's 2 ways to put an inner cover on with that little slot. And historically, I was putting the slot down, but a lot of beekeepers, you don't have a slot there. So some of them have a slot right here to let the air out. It gives you a little more air circulation. I cut that slot, and any ones that don't have it now, I just go ahead and cut a slot.
Yeah, I cut 2 into mine on that one over there. And if you slide the lid forward, it opens it up as entrance, and if you slide it back, it closes it off.
You got it.
All right, so this is kind of interesting looking. I'll go to this side and you come over on the back side, Peter. So this has a queen excluder in it, so there's going to be nothing but honey and pollen on the top, and there's a ton of honey in here. So I am going to steal a couple of these.
Burr comb, because there was no framing.
Right. So one missing frame.
Spotty at this end of the yard, so it keeps on going in and out, but it's still streaming.
When you get a chance, look at the burr comb in here. When you leave a frame out, you get burr comb. The bees will just build their own frame, so to speak. They'll take up the space.
It always amazes me how they build they just build into everything.
So here's another one that's laden with honey. I don't see much pollen. I see maybe a little pollen in it.
These are all honey frames, and that's normal because you're not going to get pollen except around the brood, and the brood's in the bottom.
I have a folder. I actually have another box I could use for this as well.
That's the easiest way. Is just have another box you drop it into.
Yeah. So should I go do that?
No, this is fine for now. I mean, ultimately, you're just looking for a couple of honey frames, right?
Yep.
How many?
But I do want to inspect the bottom, so it would be nice to pull this whole box off eventually.
Right.
Again, just honey.
You got the queen excluded. That's all that's going to be here. There won't be anything but honey on this.
Okay, there won't be pollen up in this area? Okay.
No, not unless there's...
Well, then there's really not much more point in me going through this, other than to maybe clean off this burr on the side.
I would clean that off and drop a frame in there.
It's duct tape from me probably trying to put together some frames with duct tape and rubber bands and that sort of thing.
If you want to, now that's going to drop into the brood chamber down below. If it's got honey in it,
Okay,
I would just move the frame over and let it drop on the chair.
gotcha. Okay, so I'll just slide this one back in. Put this one out. Away. Take the propolis seal.
Have it all glued together. Pretty normal.
I think it's funny that this is called a beekeeper's tool. When I first met this tool, it was a molding lifter. So it all depends on which
Who's using it?
group of people. Yeah. Maybe a little bit more along here.
It may be glued together all pretty tight in the middle. You may have. There you go. There you go.
Okay. So by just sliding this over gently so I don't crush too many girls.
There you go.
And should I set something down there? Which one of these frames will be fine? Yeah, there's definitely some honey in here, so we're going to get some dripping.
That keeps it from dripping into the bottom hive, which,
Gotcha.
it's not a problem. The bees will clean it up, but you do end up drowning a few bees, and well, there's not much honey on it.
A little wax to make soap or candles out of.
Sounds like the bees are getting a little bit agitated.
Well, this is what happens. They're not agitated at all, but he's standing in front of the hive,
Ah.
so they can't get in the entrance.
Oh, I see.
And then all of a sudden he moves, and boom, they all pull.
They all go in there, yeah.
So that's why you never want to work right in front of your hive.
The traffic jam.
You have, but that being said, you have to deal with where your hive is.
Yeah.
So